It's the Introvert Dating Success Podcast, the show for introverted men that's all about learning how to attract beautiful women and still get your precious alone time. And now, here's your host, dating coach and fellow introvert, Harry Wilmington.
What up, guys? Welcome to the Introvert Dating Success Show. I'm your host, as always, Harry Wilmington. This is the show where you go to learn how to date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into today's topic because sometimes I come across things on Reddit and they inspire me to want to talk about certain things. And the thing that I read today really inspired me to talk about this particular thing because it is something that has happened to me, and it's something that's happened to a lot of guys that I know. And clearly from this Reddit post, it's happening to guys at large. And we need to talk about it. And it's the topic of women that you're trying to date coming over to your place early on in the dating process, and they're wanting to hop in bed with you, but not actually do anything. And this is a phenomenon that tends to happen apparently quite frequently, where women are just like, oh, I'm just going to go over there and hop in his bed and not do anything, and he'll be totally fine with that. And I want to talk about that because I think that you, as a guy, need to have a general public service announcement that having women over to just hop in your bed and not do stuff is not something that you should allow to happen anymore for a variety of reasons, which we'll go into. But I'm going to go ahead and show off this Reddit post, and we're going to get into what I want to talk about. So let's add this to the stage here. See if I can set myself up here. There we go. All right. So this guy wrote a Reddit post that goes like this. The title is, "She Got Turned Off After the Second Date." So let's go ahead and read through his scenario. He says, "I met this girl online and we vibed very well, so we met for a first date. Things went well, we kissed and everything, and then we went back to my place, but nothing happened in terms of hooking up because she didn't want to. But she still slept with me on my bed. We continued talking and then met 3 days later, or again, she didn't want to do any activities, meaning she didn't want to go out and about and do stuff. So we went back to my place and watched movies. And again, nothing happened in terms of a hookup. She told me not to, but she still slept with me in the bed. 2 days later, she tells that this is not working well for her because I kept trying to touch her and that turned her off, and that she needs time to get comfortable sexually with someone. And now she doesn't want to see me or talk to me again. Anyone got into this situation? Is it my fault that I tried? Why would she agree to go back to my place if she didn't want to do anything with me physically, even though we kiss and everything? I'm super confused." Now, before I get into my response to this, I want you to understand that when guys come on these kind of platforms and express that, hey, I was dating a girl and then it seemed like the hookup was going to happen and then it didn't happen and I'm confused, a lot of the responses that guys will get back from women or some beta men is like frustration at him. Like, how dare he assume just because she came over and got in his bed that things were going to happen? And this is the problem that I have in general with people's reactions to things, is that there's, especially online, there's such, how do I say this? People are so willing to be irrational to try to argue a point that they don't get the bigger scope of things. Because here's the thing, right? Women complain on one hand about how guys can't read certain body language and cues, and how they need to get into a tune with, like, when a woman says or does something, they should understand what the action is behind that and not just try to go off what she's saying, but what her actions are. So then as guys, we say, okay, great. So I'll start looking at her actions. So in these actions, she came over, made out with me, and then got into my bed. I'm assuming based on these actions that she wants some stuff to go down. So to get at the end of that and then be like, oh, that's not happening, and then for people to be mad at the guy for trying to do exactly what women told him to do, which is to read into context clues that indicate things are going to happen, that's where I get frustrated, because this guy is clearly like, he wasn't pushing an agenda. They made out, she got into his bed. At that point, and I teach guys to say, hey, you want to look for indicators of interest in that things women are doing. So if a woman is doing things that indicate that she wants to go a certain direction, assume that that's what's going to happen. Now, I also say to guys, very importantly, that if at any time in the process, a woman says, I don't want to do a thing, or not, then you need to just stop everything altogether. But the fact that women will still set up scenarios for a guy to trip up over, I'm not a fan of that at all. So I say that because some of these reactions really annoyed the crap out of me. So I'll read down a few of these. This person said, I don't know if going back to your place automatically means she's interested in getting physical, and it sounds like that's what you assumed, and that turned her off. Yeah, she jumped into his bed, and so therefore he assumed that she wanted to do bedroom stuff. And we're going to fault the guy because here's the thing, guy. Women at times are going to want you to be the one that has to like be able to read into all situations and know all things. Like he should have known that just because she got into the bed, it doesn't mean things could potentially happen. And so, but the reality is like, that's what most guys are going to read. For women watching this, most guys are going to read, if you are making out with them and then going back to their place and then hopping into their bed on date 1 or 2, yeah, we're assuming that you're letting your walls down, your guard down. We're not assuming things like, oh, she just wants to get into bed to talk a bit easier and to cuddle up and to hug and whatnot, but then not go all the way. Like, that's just not, guys, not how we're built. But for guys, I'm stressing this because of this, right? Is that, well, I'll get into this thing in a minute. So anyway, some other comments here. Let's see. This one here, maybe she just wanted to hang out with him and cuddle without having sex. Why do you assume that she wanted to have sex? It's almost like she said she did not want it to sex. And it's almost like if someone tells you they don't want to have sex so quickly, they mean it. You shouldn't ever assume because someone comes back to you to your place that someone wants to have sex unless they say that or literally have sex with you. It's not naive. Different people have different boundaries. Maybe you should adjust your assumptions instead. So this is where, again, it gets really frustrating, this guy. And so I want to go through his thing bit by bit and kind of point out what was going on and what was happening in her head and then why this thing fell apart. Because, again, it is very frustrating for a guy. I've been there. I have male friends of mine that have literally had women that they were crushing on come back to their place, get down to like wearing lingerie, getting into bed with them, and then being like, oh, wait, oh my God, why are you trying to, what's going on? I didn't expect you think this. It's very annoying, right? So let's go through his thing. So he says, met the girl online, they vibes, they met on the first date, things went well, so they kiss and everything. Now, I don't typically tend to make it a habit on first dates to invite women back to my place because I know for me, if I invite a girl back and she says yes, my first inkling is that she's saying yes because she's comfortable enough to want to do stuff. So I know that if I don't feel like that's where she's at with me yet in her journey, I'm not going to ever give that invite out because if she's coming back to my place, I know the next round of things that are supposed to happen in order to have to get down. And by the way, guys, I learned that in college from women. Like there would be times where I would I'd be trying to invite women over for dinner and a movie to my place because I literally made so much food that I had food to share and I was going to eat it and watch a movie at the same time. And I would hit women up and say, hey, do you want to come over to my place for dinner and a movie? The number of turndowns that I got, I was like, I don't know what's going on. And this is when I was still a virgin, so I wasn't actually trying to do anything with anybody. And it wasn't until somebody pointed out to me, oh yeah, dinner and a movie is like, for most women, they assume that you're doing that because you're trying to invite them over for a hookup. And then I look back at like, wait, the times that I invited women over for dinner and a movie and they showed up, oh crap, those women actually were trying to do some stuff and I was just too blind to freaking see it. So I learned that from women. So I now know in the dating realm of things that if either I'm not trying to hook up with them quite yet, or I get the feeling that they need to get to know me a bit more, I know not to send that invite because I assume that most women are going to assume that if I say dinner and a movie, that them saying yes is saying yes to a hookup. And I have found in my dating life that that's been absolutely true. Any woman that I've invited over for dinner and a movie that said yes, it ended up in a hookup. So therefore, I wouldn't put the invite out. But and this is the read that guys get from women, okay? So when this woman is on a date with them, they're making out and getting all hot and heavy, and then he says, hey, let's go to my place, and she says, yeah, let's do it. That's already like one level tier of, okay, chances are this is going to be bedroom stuff, right? And then she jumps into his bed. That's a higher level. Like, we could play for ignorance sake. Woman comes over and she doesn't know that, dinner and a movie means you're going to whatever. So she comes over and you guys just stay in the living room and you're just watching a movie. You're playing board games. You might be just chit chatting and talking. but at no time is this going to go to bedroom levels. At the point that she says, hey, let's go to your bed, at that point, we now have a problem, which is either this woman is playing it really, really dumb or she's actually dumb. But in either case, the fact that she's laying on his bed, I don't know if somebody didn't teach her that most guys are going to get the idea that bedroom stuff is happening if you, I don't know, go to their bedroom or get in their bed. But it doesn't matter, because here's like I said with this post, there's a lot of people that are in the comments that are judging this guy, right? So here's the thing, guy. You as a guy are going to be judged regardless of how you handle the situation or how you view it. And so this is why, for one, as a guy, you should not be putting out the invite to go back to your place early on in the dating process unless you've gotten full, clear signals that this is happening. Obviously, in this case, they were making out, so he thought he had a shot. But even with that, if she goes over your place and you guys, let's say she hops into your bed and then you hop into bed with her, and she starts talking that talk of like, oh, well, just so you know, just because we're in bed together doesn't mean things are going to happen. I would say, okay, great. Okay, let's go back to the living room. And if she starts to fight, well, what? But wait a minute, but it's so comfortable here. I was like, I'd be like, hey, you know what? I respect if you don't want to do some things, that's totally understandable. But realistically, I'm not going to be in bed here laying next to you and doing any, I'll say, unintentional touches that may arise from me being excited that you're here. And so let's go talk on the couch. Like, you as the guy have to now take control of the situation and move it to a different location. And then at the end of that night, you got to say, okay, it's been great talking to you. I'd love to see you some other time. Have a safe trip home. Like, you have to push her out of your place, because I know it's going to sound dumb, and some women are going to disagree and be like, she should be able to stay over, not to sleep with them, hook up with them. She has every right not to hook up with him. But you as the guy, I want to talk to you guys, right? You as the guy have a higher probability of more negative things happening if she stays over. For one, let's say you decide she can sleep in your bed and nothing's going to happen. You don't know if, like, you talk in your sleep and you say something that's unintentionally, like, too arousing to her when she's not ready to hear it. You don't know if you're going to turn over and in the middle of the night, you're having a wet dream, or you're getting excited in some dream you had and your stuff starts poking out and it's now poking her in the back. She's thinking you're awake, trying to get her to do stuff, and you're not. But she thinks that. And so now you've got a harassment suit on your hands. And these are scenarios that legitimately happen to guys quite frequently. Okay. So you can't allow her to set up a scenario where you get entrapped into some stuff later on that you had no intention about. As you can see in his message later on, he talks about, she said that I was trying to touch her and she didn't feel comfortable. Well, she was in his bed. And as far as he's concerned, when you're in bed, this means that he now has the ability to try and see what this is going to really be about. Any woman that goes to your bed, guys, you're probably thinking, oh crap, she's in my bed. This is now the go-to for me to try stuff. And here's the other thing, is that women will fight this guy on the fact that he was doing unwanted touching. But as you guys know, women also want guys to make the first move. They want guys to try stuff. They don't want to be the ones to initiate, because they want to feel like a girl and the guy's coming to her and making her feel all kinds of attraction because he tried some stuff. So basically what we have here is a woman that is going to be a tease, and that, again, whether she's playing dumb or is actually, we'll say, naive to how sex works and how guys work and how, what signals guys are reading, the reality is this is a woman that will cause danger later down the pathway. Heck, so she got in his bed on the first date and then spent the night, which, by the way, big mistake. Again, if she's not hooking up with you on that when she goes to your place and gets in your bed, she has no reason to, you have no reason for her to allow her to stay at your place overnight. For one, I believe wholeheartedly in those first couple of dates, you need to give her less of your time. Like, your first date should be 45 minutes to 90 minutes at the most. You shouldn't be extending it longer than that. So you have a girl, in this case, he took this girl out, they went out wherever, so they did an activity. Then they made out. Then they went back to his place and did nothing the whole night, but she got to stay over there for 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 hours. So you've collectively on that first date spent like 12 hours with her. This is easily the fastest way to cause burnout, on top of the fact that y'all didn't sleep together. So then that happens, and then the second date, he's like, hey, let's go on another date. And she's like, I don't want to do an activity, but let's go back to your place. So now what's the guy thinking? Oh, snap. So we almost did some stuff the first date, but not really. And I'm actually trying to offer taking her out again because I'm a gentleman. I'm trying to legitimately get to know her. But she's saying, nope, let's go right back to your place, right back to the bedroom. What is the guy supposed to think at this point? So then they go back to the place and she's like, oh, I don't want to do anything again, but I'll still spend the night. I'll still sleep over. And I don't know about you guys. I have a hard time with people sleeping in the bed with me. Like they're hot and they move around. And sometimes a lot of women out there I find snore. So that keeps me up the whole night. So I'd much rather them go home or they can sleep on the couch or I can sleep on the couch, they can sleep in bed, whatever. But the point is that once again, we have a scenario set up where she is setting him up to frustrate himself and to frustrate her. But all she's going to care about is the fact that she's being frustrated because how dare this guy try to touch me just because I said for the second date, I can go back to his house and I'm also going to get in his bed again. How dare he assume things are going to happen? These are the women, guys, that will get you on a court case and get you in jail and start saying things like, you harassed me, how dare you, and all these other things that you don't want to happen to you. So when I come across these kind of women and they start trying to talk like, well, why can't I stay over and not touch you? I'm like, hey, you can feel whatever way you want about this. If you don't want to hook up right now, that's totally fine. I always tell women, I can outwait them. Like I said, I was a virgin until I was 23. I can probably wait longer to hook up than you can. But what I'm also not going to do is entrap myself and have scenarios put out there that set me up for potential failure or any kind of false accusations. And so you as a guy had that right. Like you have the right to control your environment. If she's coming into your place and trying to get in your bed and then not do stuff, I'm not saying that you're going to be a mean guy for kicking her out. I'm saying you're being a smart guy for not allowing these women that are either, again, acting dumb or totally actually naive to set you up in a case where you're going to have people talking about you and having these false claims about you that you weren't intending in the first place. Because this girl's saying she's mad at him for trying to touch, but like, again, and for the ladies, I stress this, for women that are watching this, understand when you're doing certain actions, like going to a guy's house early on, or jumping into his bed, or sitting on his lap, or a bunch of other things, but you're not trying to go to the bedroom, it's not that the guy should be forcing the agenda. It's that guys are sitting here trying to be like, okay, I'm going to, in terms of the physical realm of things, I'm going to follow her lead and what's comfortable. And when you're throwing out signs that guys have universally been told indicate that you probably want to do some stuff, and then you don't want to do some stuff, it's frustrating to a guy and he risks putting himself in danger, all right? So all this to say that the guy's biggest thing that he did wrong was honestly trying to get her home too early. Like, even if he was getting all these signals at the point where she said, hey, let's go back to your place. One, I tend to make women wait. But also, if they were going to do that, and then he got there, and then she got in his bed and started talking that talk of like, but I don't want to do anything, he should have been the one to say, great, let's go back out to the living room. Let's watch a movie. And then I can drop you off back home, or you can drive home and have a good night. All right. You don't have to accept women's bad behavior, and it's better that you don't. You have to, as a guy, learn to be in control of your hormones and not be, here's the thing, because you can reject women and not get butthurt. Like if she's saying, well, if she jumps in your bed and she's like, I don't want to do stuff, you don't have to act butthurt and be like, oh, you don't want to do stuff, but how dare you, and you're trying to tease me, this and that. You ain't got to do all that. It's not worth doing that. And honestly, if she doesn't want to do some stuff, she is perfectly within her right, and she can decide, even at the last minute, that she does not want to do stuff. But at that point, without appearing butthurt, you can also say, great, let's get out of this bedroom environment where sex normally happens and go back to the talking environment where we can talk and watch movies and even make out. And hey, if it happens to escalate beyond making out, we can revisit this environment later. But I'm not going to keep you in here and try to act like I'm not going to be turned on by it, or act like you don't smell so good that I want to do stuff as you're lying right next to me all night. Like, don't let women play dumb on you so much, guys, that you get yourself entrapped in this bull crap. All right. So I just wanted to point that out because I saw that Reddit and I was just so frustrated, because I get mad at when guys are trying to simply say these things happen and I was upset. And then women's response is like, you shouldn't have been upset for changing your mind. He's not upset about that. But women, I will tell you this, is that if you are setting up scenarios that look like sex is going to happen, and I mean, like, I'm not saying like playing like dumb, like, oh, I wore a dress on a date. Now this guy thinks he can jump my bones. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you are going to a guy's house and getting in his bed and getting down to lingerie, because I've heard scenarios of like, a woman got into some lingerie with it and slept next to a dude and then got mad at him for touching. And it's like, you gave all the signals. So yes, guys, if at the last minute women pull some stuff, you got to stop. Just stop and not do stuff. But again, push them to freak out of your house, because allowing that to happen is not fair to you. And women that are teasing you like that, they don't deserve to continue dating you. Like, real talk. Like, women that I have been with, like, even if they're giving hints at things, at the point where they go to the bedroom, at the point where they're lying on my bed and they're looking at me with those eyes, more often than not, they know that they're giving signals that it's going down. And more often than not, it has. The few times where it hasn't been like that, I go right back to the living room, because I am not going to get trapped, and neither should you guys. So consider that. Consider that. Don't be worried about if you're going to hurt her feelings, because you know what's worse than hurting her feelings? Getting a court case. So it's better to hurt the feeling of women who are trying to jump in your bed and not do stuff than it is to keep them there and then you get charged for something later. So just wanted to put that note out. Anyway, guys, that's really all I have for this afternoon. I'm about to go get some lunch. So thank you guys for watching this episode. If you guys have any questions you want me to answer on future episodes, you can leave comments down below these videos or write me at harry@introvertdatingsuccess.com. Also, check out introvertdatingsuccess.com for my Introvert Dating Success Coaching Academy. If you're a guy that needs help in your dating life and you need some help figuring out your anxiety issues, figuring out what the blocks are that are not allowing you to have the dating life you want, or even just learning a blueprint for how to actually attract women and get them into relationships, then that's what my coaching program is all about. You can check it out at the website. If you like what you see, then you can set up a sales call. I would love to speak with you. That's all I got. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man.